An example of a type of problem you might find on the GED that involves moles and molarity would be to find the possible number of moles in a certain weight of sulfuric acid, H2SO4. And they did it in the question that I used, which is posted in this class in the Google Classroom. They wrote it like this, but it really should be written like this with the 2 and the 4 as subscripts. So they tell you that the atomic mass values, these are the number of grams in 1 mole of hydrogen is 1 gram per mole, and that's from the periodic table. That's the mass, atomic mass units of hydrogen. For sulfur, it's 32.1 grams per mole, and for oxygen, it's 16.0 grams per mole. And those are all of the atoms that are in H2SO4 or sulfuric acid. So they ask you, after giving you this information here, they ask you to convert the following mass to moles. So they tell you you have 12.05 grams of H2SO4, and they want to know how many moles you have. So the first thing you need to know is to figure out the mass of this, the H2SO4. So how do you do that? So they gave you the information right here. So for hydrogen, they tell you you have 2 hydrogen molecules. So you have in a mole of sulfuric acid, you would have 2 moles of hydrogen because you have 2 of those for every mole of the acid. So 2 moles times 1 gram per mole. If you multiply those, you can cancel these out and you end up with 2 grams of hydrogen. If you look at sulfur, you have 1 sulfur here. There's no subscript, which means there's a 1 there. So you have 1 gram of, you have 1 mole of sulfur, and there's 32 grams per mole. You cancel out your moles here, okay, and you end up with 32.1. For oxygen, there are 4 of them here. You can see from the subscript. So for oxygen, you've got 4 moles of oxygen for every mole of the acid, and it's times 16 grams per mole. That's what they told us. That's based on the atomic mass on the periodic table. When you use your conversion, you cancel out your moles and you end up with 64 grams of oxygen. So in sulfuric acid, this is the weight of the hydrogen, the sulfur, and the oxygen. You add those all up and you'll get the weight of 1 mole of sulfuric acid. So when I add those all up, I get 98.1 grams of sulfuric acid in 1 mole. So if I have 98.1 grams of sulfuric acid, I have 1 mole, which means I have 6.02 times 10 to the 23rd molecules. Now, how do I figure out what 12.05 grams is? So I start out with my 12.05 grams of sulfuric acid, and I multiply by my conversion here. 1 mole is 98.1 grams. I cancel my sulfuric acid and I got 0.12 moles. Sorry about the dog.